All right, let's talk about the Vijayanagara Empire. If you're prepping for competitive exams, you know this is a massive topic. So today, we're going to cut right through all the noise and focus on the high-yield facts, the key dates, and the concepts that you absolutely have to know to score well. Think of this as your masterclass for exam success. So here's our game plan. We'll start at the very beginning, with the founding. Then we'll trace the 4 dynasties that held power. After that, we'll zoom in on the main event, the Golden Age, under Krishnadevaraya. We'll even see the empire through the eyes of foreign visitors, get a handle on its administration, and figure out why it all came crashing down. Let's dive in. So, where did this incredible southern empire even come from? Well, it all kicked off with 2 very clever brothers, and one year that you really need to remember. Okay, first things first, lock this date in your mind, 1336 AD. This is your anchor. It's the year the Vijayanagar Empire was founded, really as a direct response to all the chaos the Tughlaq invasions were causing in the Deccan. Now this slide, this is pure exam gold. Every single point here is a potential question. The founders, you got it, Harihara and Bukka. Their first dynasty, Sangama, named right after their father. Where was it? On the banks of the Tungabhadra River, with Hampi as the magnificent capital. And who was their spiritual guide? The sage Vijayanagar. Seriously, these 5 facts are the absolute bedrock of the empire's origin story. So, the Sangama dynasty laid the foundation, but they weren't the only ones in charge. The empire's history is actually shaped by 4 dynasties, one after the other, and you know what that means? Getting the order right is crucial. And this table lays it all out for you, nice and clear. Sangama, then Saluva, then Tuluva, and finally Aravidu. Knowing that exact order is a classic exam question. The timelines are useful too, right? You can see the long rule of the Sangamas at the start, and then the eventual fade under the Aravidu dynasty. And listen, to make sure you never ever forget that order, here's a super simple but incredibly powerful memory trick. Just remember the letters S, S, T, A. Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Aravidu. S, S, T, A. Simple, right? And it's a guaranteed point score. All right, now we get to the absolute peak, the golden age of Vijayanagara, and it's all about one man, Krishnadevaraya, from the Tuluva dynasty. If there's one part of this topic you need to know inside and out for your exams, it's his reign. And don't just take my word for it. This glowing review doesn't come from a court poet, but from Domingo Paes, a Portuguese traveler. This quote just shows you the kind of international reputation Krishnadevaraya had. He was seen as this powerful, perfect king. This slide is packed with high-value information. They love asking about his titles, like Andhra Boj. His literary work, Amukta Maliyata, is another perennial favorite. He was also a huge patron of the arts, supporting the Ashtadhyagas, his 8 great poets. And his building legacy? Legendary. Think of the Hazara Temple with its walls covered in intricate carvings telling the story of the Ramayana, and the Vittalaswamy Temple, famous for that incredible stone chariot and its musical pillars. You know, we just heard from Domingo Paes, and that brings up a really important source for us, the accounts of foreign travelers. These are an absolute goldmine for historians, and more to the point for us, for the people who set your exam questions. They give us this amazing outside look at the empire's wealth and power. So let's try this out, just like you would in an exam. It's basically a matching game. Can you connect the right traveler to the right ruler? This is a test of pure recall, and you've got to get these pairings right. Okay, here are the pairs you absolutely have to burn into your memory. The Italian Nicolo Conti, he visited during the time of Devaraya I. The Persian ambassador Abdur Razzaq was at the court of Devaraya II. And, as we know, the Portuguese traveler Domingo Paes was there during the reign of the great Krishnadevaraya. Seriously, make a flashcard of this table. It's that crucial. So, how did they manage this huge empire? And what went wrong in the end? Let's dig into the nuts and bolts of the state, its incredible art, and, well, the reasons for its collapse. You have got to know this term, the Nayankara system. Think of it as the administrative and military engine of the empire. Basically, powerful military chiefs called Nayaks were given land, called Amaram, and in return they had to maintain an army for the king. Now, the really key thing here is to see its similarity to the Ikta system of the Delhi Sultanate. Examiners love to test that connection. And you can see the empire's power literally carved in stone. The Vijayanagara style of architecture hit its absolute zenith under Krishnadevaraya. His temples, from the storybook reliefs on the walls of the Hazara temple to that world-famous stone chariot and the mind-blowing musical pillars of the Vittala Swami temple, they are the ultimate symbols of this legacy. But even the greatest empires fall. After Krishnadevaraya died in 1529, his successors weren't quite up to the task, and things got unstable. The final fatal blow came in 1565. This date is just as important as the founding date. The Battle of Talikota. A coalition of Deccan sultans crushed the Vijayanagara army, Hampi was sacked, and the empire was effectively shattered. The Aravidu dynasty limped on from a new capital, but the glory days were over. All right, deep breath. You've taken in a ton of information. Let's see what's stuck, shall we? We're going to do a couple of quick-fire questions, exactly like the ones you'll see on your paper. Ready? First up, think back to that table of travelers, the Persian ambassador Abdur Razzaq. Who was the king when he visited? Take a look at the options and lock in your answer. And the answer is C, Devaraya II. This is such a common question, specifically designed to see if you can tell the two Devarayas apart. Make sure you got that straight. Okay, question 2. That massive battle, the date that sealed the empire's fate. This one is non-negotiable. You have to know it. Which year was it? That's right. The answer is C, 1565. This is the date that marks the end of an era, the catastrophic defeat that led to the sacking of Hampi and the collapse of the great Vijayanagara Empire. So, to wrap it all up, here are the absolute essentials on one slide. If you're cramming at the last minute, these are the 5 one-liners to master. The founders and the year, the greatest ruler and his dynasty, his famous book, the key admin system, and the date of that decisive battle. Get these down and you've locked in the core marks for this topic. So, we've covered the crucial facts for your exam, but let me just leave you with this final thought. Beyond the names and dates, the story of Vijayanagara's incredible rise and its equally dramatic fall is a powerful lesson in politics, alliances, and just how fragile power can be. Thinking about the why behind it all is what will really deepen your understanding. Thanks for joining me and good luck with your preparation.